What would you say is like your favorite part, and if you want to talk about it, your least favorite part of the job?
Yeah, sure. I think my favorite part of the job is meeting people and interacting with uh, other types of work, and I mean, most of the time I meet professional workers in makeup or in lighting or in camera or in other sound engineers or musicians or actors. It's really fun to interact with all these kind of experts in their field. Um, so I think that's what I like the most in my work. It's the people and like the community. If, if I and the least favorite part of the my line of work is this is it's hard. Well, no, it's not hard actually. The business side. I think the business side is the least favorite side for me. Always have to talk about always have to talk about money. Always have to negotiate fees and whatnot.
What would you say for someone like me who's still new to this side of the business? Do you have any recommendations? Like, what are common pitfalls that beginner tends to fall for?
Mhm. I think the biggest pitfall. I've been teaching now for over 10 years, and I think the common thing I think in newcomers is that they don't or you don't prepare enough. And I always start my lecture by telling the story when I turned 30 years old. I was in Stockholm. I was doing a documentary for this TV channel, and my whole 30th birthday, I practiced putting on lavalier microphones, small microphones on a shirt, because I didn't really know who I was going to meet the next day. So I was like rehearsing on my shirt and on my I had a sweater on. And what happens if there's like a ventilation overhead where we're supposed to do the interview? What can I do to minimize the noise from the ventilation? So I spent I don't know 3 or 4 hours just going through the technical stuff and just going through my gear to make sure that I was ready the day after. And I think, and I still do, even though I've been doing this for roughly 30 years. I still prepare. If there's a meeting, I prepare for the meeting. If I'm writing music for a TV show, I prepare by listening to the producers and listening to the director, just to know what is the feel of this show or this program, and then I try to prepare myself for what is going to and try to see my weakness in the process. Well, trying to find out my own weaknesses in the process. So I think that's the biggest pitfall that the newcomer can make, not be prepared.
Absolutely. I myself, I used to be the type of person who would just wing it, and I've come to realize that doesn't really work. I'm still not the best at preparing, but it's something that I'm currently working on getting better at.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
All right.
You mentioned before about the downside being the whole business side of it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I do have some questions about business management.
All right.
Such as you mentioned that you mentioned before in your different projects that you both freelanced and worked for a company.
Yep.
How would you compare that? Like, what are the pros and cons for the different kinds?
Mm. I think the pros of working for a company, at least here in Sweden, is that you always get a salary. You have colleagues that you meet on a regular basis most of the time. So you get kind of you become a team, and then you also, of course, have people you don't like to work with, but you're stuck with. So that's the negative side of working for a company. You cannot really choose your colleagues, and also if your manager or your boss is values you and your work, he or she will give you opportunities to learn more and to refine your craft. Hopefully they will. And that's harder when you're a freelance, because when you're freelance, I don't really feel that way anymore, but I used to really be stressed about money and the economy side of working in this industry, because you don't have to buy all the gear, but you still have to own some of the gear you need to record. You need to own your own post-production suite if you're doing post-production work, and if you're doing musical work, you need to perhaps buy instruments or software or hardware instruments. So it's kind of and that could be stressful working as a freelance, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of, especially during those times where money was an issue, how did you balance the whole income versus passion question of like doing projects that weren't so fun but they gave money?
Yeah. To be honestly, perhaps I've been fortunate, or I don't know, but I've actually tried the last 15 years or something. When the last years as a freelance, or since I became a freelance, I've only been doing the stuff that I want to do, the work I want to do, and I turn down stuff I don't want to work with, and that, of course, that has sometimes I've been looking at the calendar and it's been empty, but then other opportunities has arrived, meaning that I've always had a steady income, even though my calendar might have looked like empty the next month. It usually fills up with something else, because I think that the problem with my business model is that I don't really mind doing. I sometimes say I do anything for money, which is kind of harsh. Of course I have limits to stuff I do not do, but I think it's equally as fun to record a band as to record myself, or to produce a record, or to